Thank you for joining today's program. My name is Michelle Morton, and I am a certified international health coach and an integrative nutrition health coach. And I work with Canopy as both a customer success manager, but also as a wellness expert supporting their holistic wellness needs and initiatives. Before we get started, I wanted to just make sure that everyone is comfortable with the GoToWebinar interface. And just go through some housekeeping. In the handout section of the GoToWebinar interface, you will find a copy of today's program in handout form. And if you would like to close out this session, there is a red arrow to kind of just close and minimize the section for sort of navigating the GoToWebinar interface. But I definitely want to make sure that everyone knows this program is going to be really meant to be interactive. So I want you to feel like you can add questions in the question box or just add comments. I'm definitely interested in everybody's input and just feeling like you're having a good time during the program. So let's go ahead and get started. So topics for today, a lot to go through. So I'll definitely be looking at answering your questions throughout the program and getting you involved. We have a couple of polls. But we're really going to talk about a lot of different things when it comes to sort of enhancing our journey through this lifetime and how to make it more healthy. So we definitely want to be thinking about the mind-body connection. We are so in tune with the mind-body experience that it's no wonder there's a lot to talk about when it comes to how our body is reacting to some of the things that are happening to us around us, both physically and mentally. So we're going to talk about that. I definitely want to talk more about brain health. It's something that people have been sort of coming to me and asking more about. I'm not going to get into too much of the details, but I'm going to give you some tips on how to increase your brain health. And then constructive breathing our breath, so important. We do not do enough deep breathing. Most of us are in that sympathetic breathing, which is that fight or flight breathing, which is really shallow. Not your fault. It's just one of those things that we can get you kind of practicing more deep breathing, and it will enhance your health, of course. And then big fan of mindfulness and meditation. We'll talk a little bit about that. And exploring your physical potential. And when I say that, it's really about movement. You can really define it how you choose. That's one of those things that I'm a big believer in. I'm not a big fan of the gym. I like to be outside, I like yoga. So there's just going to be things that are going to work for you, specific to you, and things that you're going to incorporate that you love that will be incorporated over a lifetime. And that's what's important. It's about what's going to work for you. And it might change over the duration of your lifetime, but it's about incorporating just certain aspects that you can enjoy. And then creating lifestyle positive habits. I'm definitely going to be giving you a couple of tools, which is the 15-minute morning ritual or a 60-minute morning ritual. And of course, those rituals and routines are more so suggestions. I'm going to be giving you a lot of tools, and you're going to choose which tools are going to work for you in this moment in time, because your toolbox will change over time. And you're going to leave things behind, and you're going to get new information and try new things also. So that's what's really important. We're going to have our first poll question. I'm going to launch this here in a moment. And this is just really meant for you. This is really about your top indicator of how you feel when you're feeling at your best. So that's going to be different things to different people, right? Some people, it's about that physicality. Some people, it's more so about that mindfulness, and just obviously a different journey for all of us. So there is no wrong answer. I was just really curious, and then I wanted to share that with everyone too. So if you haven't voted, please drop in your votes now, because I do want to share them with everyone. And thank you everyone for giving me your votes. I'm just really curious about everybody's personal journey. I myself, I would say my top indicator of my personal well-being is when I feel balanced. And so that's physically and mentally. So if you don't see something here and you want to add it into the question box, you absolutely can. And just to let you know, this will be recorded, and you will receive a copy of this recording and a handout emailed to you after the program. Okay, so I'm going to close this and share. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts. As you can see, We do have a variation. I'm hoping everybody can see this. I think you can. A variation of answers. And I love that it's kind of all over, right? There's a little bit of everything here. Again, if you don't see sort of your indicator, go ahead and drop it in the question box and I can share it with everyone. I do love that, the purpose, looking for new purpose, because I do feel like our journey is one of those things that we're experiencing all the time. So there's lots of different ways to improve upon that journey at any point in time. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. Okay, time to talk about that mind-body connection. So important. Really, Western medicine, I would say, isn't quite up to speed with the mind-body connection and how it's treated from a medical or a naturopathic sort of perspective. If you do see a naturopath, I would say they are really much more in tune with sort of how the mind and body are connected, really, especially when it comes to things like chronic conditions, those things that are sort of now just really understanding how they are associated with stress. So things like gastrointestinal issues, sleep problems, high blood pressure, and then chronic pain. Just the conditions that can be caused by high levels of untreated stress. And I can speak to this sort of, from a personal perspective. My mom passed away last year, and I went through a really stressful period. I honestly did not know exactly what was going on with my body, and it took a little while to figure out how my stress was really incorporated in my physical and mental health. And that's when I learned a little bit about the vagus nerve. And if you're not familiar with the vagus nerve, it is really one of those places in our body that's helping us stay in that parasympathetic system, which is the not fight or flight. It's more of the calm, rest, and digest phase. And the vagus nerve really travels quite all over the body, but mostly from sort of our head, neck, and kind of branches out into our gastrointestinal space. And it really just affects a lot of our body, helping control our digestion, our heart rate, our mood, our immune system. So I had no idea how much my stress was really being incorporated. And since that stress, whether it's sadness, grief, anxiety, how it plays out, it does sort of incorporate itself in the body, whether we really can notice it or not. I even went through heart testing, and my heart, thank goodness, is perfectly healthy. But it was really a journey to find out what was happening to my body and really starting to understand how stress was incorporating itself through my body. So as we think of ways to enhance or make our system a little more positive and be able to sort of navigate our stress, because stress is unavoidable, we're going to be experiencing stressors throughout our lifetime. It's really more so, how do we perceive it? How do we move through it in the most constructive way? Because it can't always be positive. And so some of these on the slide here, the breathing, we're going to go through a breathing exercise here in a moment, because I'm going to talk much more about that constructive breath. And really that really can instantly help you manage your stress by instantly reducing your blood pressure and then allowing for oxygen-rich blood to travel to the brain, which helps our cognitive thinking, of course. So if we're moving through a difficult moment in time or a stressful situation, we can always rely on our breathing. And that is definitely something, a tool that I would say is a very useful tool that you could start using right now if you wanted to. So if you felt a little stressed and you wanted to do a nice, quick, deep breath, you could do that. Mindset shifting, really shifting our thinking, how we perceive the world around us, is an immensely powerful tool. So we could see a stressful situation or something that we're moving through as overwhelming, as something that we have no control over, as something that we are powerless to change. And instead really shifting that mindset into something of, this is a learning opportunity. This too shall pass. I use that mantra a lot. So there are ways to sort of just give us hints and sort of let our brain know that it's going to be okay, that I'm going to get through this, and it will pass. So a lot of that is things that we can do. Some of it we can't. We've got to move through it and really just buckle down and use our resiliency tools to manage the process. But a lot of things are about our perceived mindset, and it's something that we can shift. Mind you, these things take practice. So give yourself a lot of grace as you're moving through sort of making these changes. Getting active, there's so much evidence about how powerful of a tool of activity or movement is. Our physical body controls a lot of everything to do with our heart function, our mood, so our mental health, our brain function. So having a movement practice, which I'm going to talk about later also, is something I would say is only going to benefit you. And we'll talk about what that looks like, because again, this is what's going to work for you. It is not a one size fits all. So you're going to find what is going to be the most beneficial for you and something that you're going to enjoy so that you incorporate it over your lifetime, right? That's what's really important. Practicing gratitude, I would say practicing gratitude helped sort of shift my life because it does sort of help you understand that a lot of what our perceived idea of what we don't have can be shifted into something being grateful for what we do have, right? So it is a lot about, instead of thinking about those things that we want or how we should have certain things or be experiencing certain things, we can stop for a moment, pause, and be grateful for very simple things like waking up in the morning and seeing your child smile. And, or if you have fur babies at home, it's that first leap on the bed that might feel a little like, wow, that was disruptive. But instead you can think, wow, this, my dog loves me so much that it wants to welcome me in the morning. Or if you're out for a morning run and your neighbor's working on their rose garden, you can stop and smell those roses and just really embrace that moment. That's really going to be a powerful tool of gratitude. And I'll talk a little bit more about mindfulness too. I also really want to make sure that everybody understands asking for help is another very, very powerful tool when it comes to managing stress or just managing anything that you're moving through. So if you're feeling like you might be going through something physical, don't wait, ask for help. And if you don't get answers, continue to search. A lot of this is, again, about us being boldly curious about our own personal journey and just really being an active participant in how we want it to see constructed. There are things that we're going to move through that are absolutely out of our control, but there are many things that are in our control. So those are the ones we want to hold on to and really squeeze all the juice out of, right? Brain health. Let's get into the healthiness of our brain. I put a lot of tips here. These are really tried and true tips for increasing your brain health, and some of them are going to seem really obvious, like wearing your seatbelt or helmet. But honestly, there are still people who don't, and really plenty of evidence there to show that we have really an active participation in many of the things that are going to help us improve our existence, especially when it comes to the health of our brain, which we absolutely want to have all the way through our lifetime into our elder years. So really, when we age, of course, changes in our body are going to happen, and that includes the brain. So we definitely want to be thinking about certain part of the brain does shrink, including really some of those complex mental activities. We're going to see some cognitive decline there, and so anything that we can do to enhance it is really important. Blood flow to the brain might decrease as we age, and then just natural things like inflammation, which is how our body responds to injury and disease. And as we get older, obviously our body's having to respond a little bit more. So these are things that are really going to help us. And I'm going to talk more about a nutrient-dense diet. We're going to talk about the movement. Again, physical activity absolutely will help your brain. And then things like staying connected and staying engaged with people. Loneliness has really, I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. Being isolated and lonely has a detriment to our health, both obviously from a mental health perspective, but also brain health too. And then I really want to encourage that lifelong learning You're going to hear probably a lot of that from me. We're going to see a lot of transition in our lifetime, right? We're going to see ebb and flow, and that perceived stress and some of the things that we have to move through are really difficult. And so seeing them as a way to educate ourselves or have an experience that's going to help us and increase positivity or increase our experience while we're here is really going to be an important part of that journey. And sleep, I'm not really going into too much detail about sleep in this program. I have a full sleep hygiene presentation on that, but sleep is really important. So if you are moving through any sort of sleep disruption, anything like chronic insomnia, where you're, over the period of a few months, you are either waking up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep 3 or 4 times a night, definitely time to maybe look at reaching out to your physician, your general practitioner, or your naturopath to talk about sleep. And I myself moved through something of a sleep disruption a couple years ago and got some really wonderful, wonderful tools. So back on track there. So if you are sort of moving through some difficulties, definitely reach out to a mental health professional or a general practitioner or a naturopath to get some answers. A lot of physical or health issues, whether they're physical or mental, can help us actually learn more about our bodies and about which actually can be really wonderful. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, which is not on here, is water. I am a huge fan of water, and since our body is mostly water, right, and that includes our brain, so we definitely need water for brain health, and that affects our mood and affects our cognitive thinking. So if you've ever had that sort of afternoon headache, it could be dehydration. And since blood is mainly consistent of water, we need a continuous supply to keep our blood thin, and so our blood can move through our system easily. And even if you're slightly dehydrated, your heart has to work harder, it has to pump blood harder, so it can increase your heart rate, and irregular heartbeats and palpitations could occur. So you really want to be thinking about water all day long, and that includes the first thing when you get up in the morning. Just have a couple glasses of water and just make sure to keep hydrated all day long. Okay, so we're gonna do some constructive breathing. So diaphragmatic breathing is just really a form of slowing, slow, deep breathing. And that's where our diaphragm contracts on the inhale and relaxes on the exhale. So a lot of times what we're doing is we're breathing up here, right? We think it's lungs, of course, so we're breathing up here, but we really want to expand that breath down into the belly, down into the diaphragm. And this kind of breathing stimulates the vagus nerve that I just talked about, which activates the relaxation response and that parasympathetic rest and digest that helps the nervous system stay calm. And so wonderful thing about this is deep breathing can be done anytime during the day. If you're going into a meeting and you're feeling stressed about it, you could take a few minutes just to do some constructive diaphragmatic breathing to help yourself feel really calm. So if you are game, go ahead and get comfortable. I want to sort of walk you through a very simple couple of exercises for breathing. I will say check your posture. One of the things we do forget is a lot of times when we are sort of slumped over, it's just one of those things that we want to just be cognizant of is that having good posture just really helps our frame, helps us stay nimble, but it also helps us expand our breath better. So just sort of rolling back those shoulders and getting comfortable. Feel free to close your eyes if you want to, but what I want you to do is breathe in through the nose, nice and slow. And again, if you can expand down into the diaphragm, and then exhale out your mouth, nice and slow. I don't want you to have to count anything. I just want you to get into a rhythm of breathing in through the nose, nice and slow, down through the diaphragm, and exhaling out the mouth. And I'm sure you already feel a little calmer, just even with those couple of deep breaths. So to give you a couple of tools, one, we're going to do square breathing, which is when you can even picture a square in your mind. You can inhale on the one side of the square, you pause for the second side of the square, you exhale for the third side of the square, and pause for the fourth side of the square. So there's no counting necessarily, it's just a nice smooth rhythm of inhaling through the nose, not holding the breath, just a nice simple pause, and exhaling out the mouth, again, just a nice simple pause. And you can do this a couple of times. Again, this one's going to feel really good if you're just going into a meeting, or maybe you just had a stressful meeting, or maybe you're taking a phone call and in your mind you're just doing some deep breathing while you're in this stressful phone call. So all of these things, it's a very covert, very gentle way of breathing deep. Another tool is called 4-7-8. That's when you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and you exhale for 8. This one is a little more intense, so I like to tell people, please do this in a safe space. Maybe you would do 4-7-8 before you went to bed. It can be a really great tool. I actually use this when I go to bed, is do a 4-7-8 practice. If the number is a little intense for you, you can always do 3-6-7 if you want. You can cut those numbers a little bit, work your way up if you'd like. But again, this one's, if you do it a couple of times, we're not going to do it here, but if you do it a couple of times, you're going to start feeling a little lightheaded. You get a lot of oxygen-rich blood to the brain when you do this. So again, do this in a safe space when you feel calm and maybe you're ready for bed, or even when you're getting up from the morning. It can be a great tool to just sort of help you start the day. And again, this is so good for you. That oxygen-rich blood is going to the brain, giving you higher cognitive thinking. It's going to release serotonin, which is lovely, that feel-good hormone that's going to just help you kind of drop maybe what stress you have and replace it with some feel-good. And then again, activating your parasympathetic response, that rest and digest, that calming, and then instantly you get that lowering of blood pressure. So excellent tool. Let's jump into mindfulness. These are the 3 characteristics of mindfulness. So those are just to sort of kind of help you get acclimated to what is mindfulness. You know, it's just really slowing down, taking time to be in the moment. This will become a habit. This is one of those things that you want to work on, and it can be very habit forming. It's really great. Some people I coach have had the perception that mindfulness is sort of passive and a reaction to the world around you and as a spectator, but really mindfulness is really an incredibly assertive lifestyle behavior. So I would highly encourage just sort of taking into becoming more aware of the nuances in life and just sort of actively seeking out moments of deep appreciation, again, without judgment. And this sort of practice really does support balance and gratitude and an increased sense of joy, all of which are part of a healthier lifestyle, right? So how can mindfulness enhance your well-being? 1, gives you that higher brain function. You're flexing muscles here. You're creating new neural pathways when you're practicing mindfulness and meditation, which I'm going to talk about meditation next. Provides you emotional regulation, so you can assess the situation, make decisions calmly, and let them go. Maybe release the judgment. And increases attention and focus. Again, this is going to be you flexing new neural pathways and creating just a different sense of awareness. And just feeling that experience of being connected. You're not alone. You're not just floating out there aimlessly. You are grounded. You are balanced. And this is a great tool to just sort of positively reinforce that. And then again, this also positively affects the vagus nerve, which we talked about is your sort of parasympathetic tree of life is the best way I know how to describe it. So it affects your gastrointestinal, your immune system, again, your mood. So all of these things are going to be enhancing that aspect of your experience. If we talk about meditation, it's a great segue into meditation because really meditation helps all of those things also, and so this is how I put here on the slide that, it can benefit your health through decrease in stress and anxiety, elevation of mood, actually can help with chronic pain, reduces your blood pressure, and it can act as a smoking cessation tool and also a chronic pain cessation tool. And really just to understand, a lot of people, and I did when I first started meditating, because I actually went to a retreat when I first learned how to meditate, and it was an hour. It was an hour, and I was not used to it, and I was fidgety, and it was a lot. It was definitely, if you've seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts, I had that moment, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have. I am not alone in that. So, but research funded by the U.S. Department of Health has revealed even 10 minutes or preferably more, but even 10 minutes has been documented to have these health benefits. So it behooves you to just go ahead and even try starting out with 10 minutes. And really, meditation is, there's a lot of myths around meditation, but meditation is the act of mind self-regulation. So it's not about thinking about nothing. It's not about thinking, about any particular thing, really. It's really about regulating what you're thinking and slowing down and getting into a space where you can control that thinking, so it's not controlling you. Some people, there is a myth that meditation is a religious practice or spiritual practice, and truthfully, yes, it is for some people, absolutely, but it's also a mindfulness tool. So if you're not religious or spiritual, just see this as a mindfulness tool that you can put in your toolbox. And again, start with 10 minutes, start slow, work your way up, do that deep breathing, and you might find that that 10 minutes goes by really quickly. I've done everything from really visualization meditations to guided meditations. So find what's going to work for you. There's lots of apps out there, none that I would just off the cuff recommend, but that's why it's kind of fun to go out and find your own, right? There's tons of meditations you can follow on YouTube. So if you just want to start dipping in and seeing what works for you, I love a guided meditation. I love guided imagery meditation. So you're going to find what works for you, and that's what's exciting. So just be boldly curious again about how to flex this part of your journey. Okay, movement. We talked a little bit about how important movement is. And when I say movement, I don't mean the gym. Like for some people, yes, they love the gym. It's their go-to and it works for them. I don't like the gym. I prefer to say run outside. That's sort of my go-to. I love being outside. I love hiking. I love yoga. And this has all been trial and error. I've tried a lot of different things and a lot of them were not a good fit for me. So using your body isn't defined by the gym or previous perceptions of how to get fit. You are going to decide what works for you. But just consider something that physical that you feel is fun, so that you'll stick with it. And then, anything that increases your heart rate and encourages strength training for bone density is a positive. So work your way there. And strength training doesn't automatically mean lifting weights, by the way. So Tai Chi, yoga, racket sports, golf are all considered in the realm of load-bearing activities and can enhance your bone density. So again, do what is going to work for you best. Also, I would highly encourage the idea of getting outside, even in the winter months. There are plenty of countries that they get out all year long. Just that fresh air is going to be so important. And there is a whole movement among doctors, physicians that are prescribing sort of taking walks in parks. It's just even an initiative that Oregon doctors have right now with the Pacific Northwest partnership, and clinicians are actually writing prescriptions to get outside and just really sort of increase your physicality that way. And again, this is going to sort of stimulate that parasympathetic system and decrease your risk of so many things, especially when it comes to mental health, but also mood. We can feel an instant mood boost when we go outside and just slow down, use your senses, what do you hear, what do you smell, just really get entrenched with your surroundings, and it can be such a great benefit. And I put some ideas here on this slide. This is just to sort of help you get started. If a personal trainer isn't your thing, an accountability partner can really work. So somebody you trust and share a commonality with and they want to get involved also. Can be a huge benefit. So you have, not just yourself doing this, you can have a partner just sort of cheering you along and you can cheer them along. And I would highly recommend, if you're just getting started with your movement or fitness journey, is that one, you check in with your doctor, make sure you're at a place where it's a good idea. Start slow, start with things like very simple stretching. And then once you get in a kind of a rhythm, start scheduling your routines. It's one of those things, anything that's important, you'll make time for. So if it's one of those things where you're like, I don't have time, find ways to schedule it into your calendar and stick with it. It will be habit forming. And then once you stop doing it, you will miss it. You will absolutely miss it. So anybody who's sort of in a regular exercise routine will probably back me up on that. You just really enjoy it. It's like sort of like flossing your teeth. For anybody that, hopefully everybody flosses their teeth, but if you stop flossing your teeth, you just like, you feel weird. So it's going to be one of those things. It's going to be habit forming and you're going to really enjoy it. Okay, let's jump into nutrition. Nutrition, very important, very, very important. But why? So why is healthy, clean, and real food so important? Nutrients. So it's really about nutrients. Inside of our body are billions of neurons, and at the end of each neuron is a neurotransmitter. So they connect with each other. So it's like a big internal telecommunication system. And these neurotransmitters are communicating what we're thinking, how our bodies move, along with regulating our emotions and sleep patterns, hormones, everything, metabolism. So why is that important? It's because nutrients are what manufacture neurotransmitters. So we need healthy, nutrient-dense food to help keep our bodies from fighting disease and communicating and performing optimally and effectively and efficiently. So if you are eating clean and real food, thank you so much. Your body loves you for that. If you are eating a more processed food diet, start thinking about how can I start incorporating sort of this clean, real food into my diet. Maybe it's one meal a day that you just decide to go no processed food, or maybe it's more produce in your diet. So, you're gonna find ways, again, that are gonna work for you. Start slow. Cooking, I know it can be, some people hear cooking and they just cringe. Even if it's just trying to be, again, boldly curious about your journey. Maybe you just decide you're gonna make something on the weekend one day when you have some time. It's really about learning about food, where it's sourced, how clean and real food can make you feel better, like physically, but also mentally. Our food is so intertwined with our bodies. And so if we're eating sort of a lot of processed food or ultra processed food like fast food, we are not getting the nutrients we need, and therefore our bodies are not going to perform optimally. Or they might even start to break down if we're not getting those things that we need. I would say even watch your reaction, like your gastrointestinal. That's going to be a big indicator of when things are starting to go wrong. So if you have a lot of excess gas or a lot of constipation or diarrhea or both of the two, that's not normal on a regular basis. So that's when I would recommend reaching out to your general practitioner or your naturopath. Naturopaths have been a wonderful resource for me. They're not for everyone, so find what works for you again, because we have to understand how our GI, our gut health, really does affect our mood and our physicality, of course. So we have a lot of microbiome in there, and when it's not balanced, it's going to come out in those categories that I just described earlier. And UCLA biologists estimate 90% of our body's serotonin is made in the gut. So and again, serotonin is that neurotransmitter, the chemical messenger of a feel good. So when we're not producing that, or when it's being blocked by ill microbiome in our gut, it can really affect especially our mental health. It's one of those things that's really important when we're thinking about our mental health, not just our physical health. What are we eating and how are we supporting both? And again, another shout out to water. I consider water to be in the nutrition realm. And if water is another one that's kind of like hard for people, I get a lot of people who are like, can I drink this instead of that? Really, the easiest thing to do is just having consistent, clean, just water. Try not to put chemicals in it or things of that nature, but you can infuse it with things like cucumber and mint or lemon. You can infuse it with a lot of different natural things too, to make it a little bit easier to get down. Okay, I'm gonna have another poll question for everybody. Would love your input. Okay, how do you support and enhance your personal journey? So again, there's no wrong or right answer. I just really wanted to hear back from everybody about sort of what their experience is, and if people are sort of already have a practice of meditation. Or maybe you are like me, you like to be outdoors a lot. And so being outside is sort of your therapy. And that's great. So you have to do what is in your best interest. And again, some things are going to work, some things aren't. So it is about being curious and figuring out what tools you want to put in your personal toolbox. Okay, if you haven't voted, please feel free to do so now. I'm going to go ahead and share this in a moment. Thank you everyone for voting. Appreciate that. Share that. Great. I love that the majority of you are learning and sort of enhancing your self-awareness. That's so wonderful to hear. And I will say this is something I have done for myself also. I'm not perfect. I never will be perfect. It is more so about trying to understand why we are who we are, why we do what we do. And every time we learn something new about ourselves, we can shift and improve upon our personal journey, which is fantastic. But I also love that, physical health, well-being, connecting with nature, all wonderful, wonderful things for us to continue to improve on. Nice. Thanks for sharing, everyone. I appreciate that. Okay, talk a little bit more about self-support. I know a lot of people call this self-care. It's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. Obviously, I've talked enough today about how everything is very individual to you and what you need. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to be customized. You're going to customize it to your needs. But I do want to give you a couple of other things to be thinking about, right? We've talked a lot about things that are fairly well known, maybe not known why, but they're known, like eat well, exercise. We've known this for a while. It's more so understanding like, okay, I'm doing that, but what else can I do? And since you all are continued learners and self-awareness, this is probably gonna be right up your alley. I want to talk a little bit about music, laughter, and vibration. It doesn't seem like a lot of you do meditation, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the benefits of this. So one thing about music, sound healing through music has been really common throughout history because music has no socioeconomic, no age or culture barriers. It just translates well and inspires most people. I love music. I have it on pretty much all the time, and I'm going to give you some resources around music that will, within 60 seconds, lower your blood pressure, so that's cool. And the health benefits associated with music really are decreased stress and anxiety and increased pain threshold, also emotional expression, improved memory, communication, and cognitive thinking. And health practitioners have been studying music for some time and really they have discovered that music alleviates stress almost instantly, on the music, of course, along with improving your cognitive thinking and creative thinking. And if you think about it, like a lot of women, when they're pregnant, they like to listen to music to just sort of calm themselves, but also, just using it to sort of help the baby calm down too. So there's just so much good stuff and studies and information around the benefits of music. And again, I'm going to give you a list that includes both modern and classical for you to use and add to your toolbox if you like. Laughter. What's interesting is like modern healthcare studies have linked laughter to stress reduction and decreased blood pressure. But the laughter doesn't even have to be genuine, which is weird, that you can actually fake laugh and get the same benefits. So that's really interesting. So something about that vibration of laughter, it resonates through the body and the body responds. So it's really interesting. And laughing actually does release endorphins and acts as that sort of emotional release, which helps us both physically and mentally. So not that I want you to walk around laughing, without, sincerity. It's more so about maybe I'm just gonna, instead of, feel stressed about this situation, I'm just gonna laugh about it. And it's something I've definitely seen parents use with their children, is sort of teaching them, yeah, it's painful. And then they start laughing and children follow suit. And it's not that we want to laugh at our pain, but it's another tool that we can kind of use to sort of, how can I best use this sort of healing tool? As laughter is just sort of shown to us to act instantly and help our bodies a little bit better. Vibration, definitely lesser known, but for anybody that does do meditation, maybe you've sort of had the vibration experience where somebody's using a Tibetan bowl that sort of gongs, or maybe it's even tuning forks or their own voice, and use that as sort of a way to stimulate the immune system, but also as a relaxation tool and a focus tool. So it's really interesting how percussion instruments evoke sort of a body response for us, but even cue and vocal tones are used through meditative chants and just sort of have an evidence-based sort of backing to how our bodies respond to tone, and our own bodies sort of react to that in a healing way. So it just can only be seen as positive. Daily gift, that's going to be up to you to decide. It could be something physical. Maybe you want to enjoy a piece of chocolate. Even as an integrative health coach, I do not vilify food. Most foods I don't vilify, maybe high fructose corn syrup, but that's probably it. And sports drinks, meaning like those energy drinks are pretty bad. So your daily gifts are going to be different. Maybe it's a piece of chocolate, maybe it's a walk in the park. Maybe it's reading a book that you love, taking 5 minutes to yourself to be in a safe space and laugh, whatever it's going to be that's going to work for you. Absolutely give yourself those moments. And I especially love this last one where it's take time to do nothing at all. We get vilified about not doing something all the time. And that seems really sad, honestly. Why can't we sit in the sun and just do nothing and enjoy the moment and embrace our senses and just be in that moment in time? We really need to give ourselves a lot more grace than that. I will say social connection, super important. Cigna Health reported that 3 in 5 Americans report that they are lonely. And that loneliness is as lethal as smoking. So definitely stay connected with like-minded people who are going to keep a positive reinforcement for you, keep you sort of in a good mind space. And then of course you would offer them the same. So that's definitely something. And again, that can be family, can be friends, could be community that you are involved with. Just find, and if you don't have a community, be curious about where can I find one? Where's a good fit for me? That takes some time too. So be curious in that part of the journey also. And if you are curious, you could start volunteering, because helping others actually makes us feel better. They've done studies about this. And that volunteering is tapping into that purpose, right? For you that answered about just sort of finding purpose and enhancing that purpose. If there's something that you want to support, health initiative, a mental health initiative, I volunteer for NAMI, which is a National Alliance for Mental Illness. It is part of your purpose, right? It helps you to know that you're helping other people. You can use your life experience, those things that maybe those hardships that you've worked through to help others learn from what you've been able to learn from yourself. So that is only a benefit for you, but also everybody else too. And then just doing things that you enjoy, right? Could be sleeping, because I didn't touch on sleeping too much, but if you want to take a nap, or if there are other things that you enjoy, maybe it's a spa day, maybe it's a warm bath, just to kind of get ready for bed. Just find what works for you. I do want to talk a little bit about just like an overall lifestyle type of health, right? And if you are not familiar with the Blue Zones, for anybody that's seen my programming before, I've probably touched on this. I love the Blue Zones. And if you're not familiar with what the Blue Zones are, they are geographical areas where there are low rates of chronic disease and high populations of centenarians, which are people who live to 100 or more. And it's not just that they live to that age, it's that they are healthy. So they are strong, they are socially connected, they live a long and healthy life. Which is really wonderful. And these communities are all over the world. So Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda, California, to name a few. And so there isn't one thing. It's not like it's the food. It's not like it's the climate, because these are places all over the world with varying differences of climate and food choices. So really, these are sort of what we found is that, or not we, I mean the Blue Zone Project found that are the top contenders from these communities when they talk about why they have lived such a long and healthy life. And that is things like, the plant slant, so more produce in their diet. It doesn't mean the Mediterranean diet, although that is a plant slant diet, but that is sort of specific to Italy. So when you think about plant slant, it's produce that's in your area. Yeah, these are going to be things that are really, really high dense and nutrient dense foods. So when you think of the plant slant, think of produce and adding more greens and fruit to your diet, along with other high fiber things like beans or nuts. We talked about purpose already, and as you can see, they've done studies enough to sort of see that on average how they are increasing your life, and that includes just having purpose. When you get up in the morning and you're being pushed to do something you love or you are looking forward to, you have a positive mindset about what you do, this is going to enhance your life in different ways, and that includes just having that mindset, mental health, excitement, but also moving naturally. That is in that movement space. And the centenarians, people that are living up to 100 and older, they are not sitting around. They are definitely working. These are people who continue to work into old age. They don't retire. They are working in the fields, gardens. They are, just very physical people. So it can really give us a little indicator of how we can really incorporate moving naturally all day long. And I know it's difficult. I work at a computer also. So there are definitely things that you can enhance. I like to I have a stand-up desk, and so I like to pop my stand-up desk, turn on my chill music, and just sort of move and dance a little bit while I work. And it just sort of helps give you a break in sitting all day. You definitely don't want to sit all day if that's an option. You want to get up and move around. We talked about right community, meaning loved ones that will be encouraging you and enhancing your journey. And family first. Your family could be friends. Doesn't have to be biological family. So your family is defined how you define them, but they are definitely enhancing your life. When you have good, solid, healthy relationships, they enhance your journey exponentially. And then we talked about downshifting, sort of in that self-support realm. So doing things that you love that are going to enhance your life. The 80% rule, this is more so about eating mindfully, not eating only 80% of your meal because we don't want to waste food, but it's about being mindful. So mindful about how much food you take, what the food is, but also experiencing it fully. What does it taste like? Really get in there. Like, what does it smell like? What's the texture? And really immersing yourself in your meal, fully being grateful for it and just taking it all in rather than say working while you're eating or watching TV while you're eating. You can really just sit in that space with your food and fully appreciate it. And if you're eating slower, you're probably not going to eat as much. That's really the mindful or the 80% rule. And interestingly, genetics account for only about 20 to 30% of human longevity. So environmental influences, including diet and lifestyle, are going to play a huge role in determining your overall health and well-being. Okay, as I promised, here are some tips on your morning practice. Now, again, these are tips. So if you have 15 minutes in the morning, that's it, and you want to devote some practice, a morning practice, this is a great practice to have. Now, your mindful moments can be something as just simply as you laying in bed, don't grab your phone, just laying in bed and think about 3 things that you are grateful for. Or maybe you like to journal. So you can write in your journal 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that you're looking forward to today. Just getting in a practice of starting your morning out on a positive note and feeling good about next steps for it. We talked about deep breathing. I gave you a couple of tips on how to get started with your deep breathing practice. Love this one to start the day. It will instantly, if you feel stressed about anything that's coming up, I mean, I have this presentation today, and so I did my deep breathing to make sure that I felt calm and ready. Drinking a glass of water, this is going to be an instant mental and physical pick-me-up, because remember, your body's been asleep for hopefully 7 to 8 hours, and your body is already sort of dehydrated, right? So it needs a refresh, it needs a jump start, and water is absolutely going to be what's going to give it a jump start. So I know that there are a lot of coffee drinkers, tea drinkers, that's lovely, but maybe just start off with just a basic glass of water to get you started for your day. Stretching, if you're new to any sort of stretching or fitness program, always go slow. If you feel you need to discuss with your physician about your new movement routine, please do so. But stretching it can be as simple as just moving your neck and shoulders, just sort of stretching out your back a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit about ankles, wrists, all of that, just getting started. And then you can move your way up. Maybe you get into a full stretch routine, or maybe you start yoga and you find your stretch routine needs to be a little bit longer. That's fine too. And the smile laugh, so easy, doesn't take much time. Again, you're gonna get an instant boost. That serotonin is gonna get released just from, even if it's a fake laugh, but even just finding things to look forward to and that will make you smile is a good thing too. Okay, if you have a little more time and you really want to devote this, one of the things I want to preface here is not everybody likes to eat breakfast, and I get it. My partner does not like breakfast. So what a lot of people like to do is intermittent fasting. And so if you are familiar with intermittent fasting, I fully applaud it and support it. And if you don't know what intermittent fasting is, it's really a prolonged period of time where you have not consumed calories. So you're really having a long span of time between your last meal and your next meal. And this is really to enhance what they've coined as metabolic switching, which it's really, for many people, it can help with weight loss. But I like to do it just as a way to support my body's rest. A lot of, when we think about it, the more we're eating and we're not allowing our organs to rest, the harder our organs work, right? So it looks very different for different people. So you could condense your eating period to 8 hours, or 2 meals every 2 days. You know, it's going to be sort of what you want it to be. So you can still have breakfast. Maybe you want to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner one day, but the next day you decide to have an intermittent fasting day and you don't have food for 14, 16 hours. I'd say, again, be curious. This is going to be an interesting journey for you. I experimented a lot with intermittent fasting to find what I felt worked for me. So it was actually kind of fun. It was really actually very, very interesting. And I still eat breakfast. Again, it might just be a little bit later on some days than others. So do with what works for you. Interval exercises. Again, that's going to be defined by you. Maybe you take a 20-minute walk. Maybe you do some strength training for 20 minutes. This is going to be for you to experiment with also. This is going to help support your morning. So if you want to start with something where you take a 20-minute walk outside, you get that fresh air, you get to do some deep breathing, but maybe you really just want to do some lifting of weights for 20 minutes. So all of these things are good things. This is going to support a healthy lifestyle. So find what works for you. And again, things are going to change over time. That's okay. So be open to that. The morning pages, that's for anybody who likes to journal. If you've never journaled before, you might want to just try it. I'm not a huge fan of journaling, but it does help. They've done studies where writing things out or talking things out can actually help you make you feel better because you are taking action. Maybe you wrote down what didn't work yesterday, and then you write solutions for what didn't work. So these are going to be things that you can kind of play with, but even a journal for food and mood and sleep, all of that can be sort of incorporated into a journal, and you can include some of your morning pages notes. Eat the frog, if you've never heard of this phrase, it's really about procrastination. So the eat the frog, I believe was coined by Mark Twain, but it's about doing the thing that you least want to do first. So it's getting it out of the way so that you're not thinking about it all day long. So maybe it's like those pesky frogs about kind of always in the back of your mind. So rather than having that kind of nagging or sitting in the back of your mind and you worrying about it, just get it done. Just get it done and get it out of the way, and you'll feel amazing once you do it. And if you start your day by getting it out of the way, you can kind of have a fresher, cleaner slate to start with. And then music doesn't take any time. You can just put it on and start, dancing and increase your cognitive thinking, boost your mood. It's all a benefit. Again, play around with it. This might not work for you, but you'll find ways that are going to work for you. Just remember that it's a journey, and it starts now. If you want it to, you can start making some shifts, making some modifications in things that you do, adding some things that you do. Again, these are tools to add to your toolbox. Not all of them are going to be relevant or resonate with you. Find what works for you. Just make sure that you kind of assess, like, do I have time for this? Am I physically able to do this? And if you find that you start things but you don't finish them, go find that accountability partner, or could even possibly be a coach, like a health coach, to help you kind of stay centered, stay on top of things, and making those small steps forward. That's always what we want to do when we're learning and educating ourselves and getting more self-awareness. Okay, back to the basics. Before I give you some resources and take some questions, real clean food. I say that a lot in my presentation. So anybody who's joined one of them, you hear that, water, sleep, so important. Of course, repeat. That water is going to be something you want to be doing all day long. Movement, so essential for physical and mental health, and just supporting everything about our bodies, our brains, our hearts, our muscles, all of that is so important. And then increasing our self-support to reduce stress, and then also just changing our mindset, shifting our mindset to sort of have an idea of your perceived stress. And then if you're practicing mindfulness, you'll be able to assess, hey, is this something that I need to be really upset about? Can I take a step back? Can I choose empathy? And, lots of different ways when you're in a state of control and calm rather than reaction. And again, nobody's perfect. We're all going to have moments. Give yourself grace. And again, having compassion for others and yourself. That's what that giving yourself grace is about. Lots of love for that curiosity, for continued learning. And I love that there's so many people on this program that is a big indicator of happiness and health. So yeah. And just improving upon your personal experiences and your own journey. Again, that could be everything from finding your purpose, volunteering. It's going to look different for everyone. Nobody's going to be able to tell you what the right thing to do is, because there is no right thing. It's what's going to be right for you. So you're going to find that out on your own, which is super exciting if you think about it. This is the resources that I promised. Again, this handout and recording is going to come to you after the program. Again, these are 60 seconds reduced blood pressure. So it really is one of those choices that you can put on and listen to. I love to listen to lyricless music all day long, honestly, because it does help me focus. There are a lot of people, neurodiverse people, that need this type of thing, background music or other types of tools to help them keep focused. And this could be another tool for your toolbox, depending on where you're at in life. And also, if you have not seen the Canopy Live Well blog, feel free to check us out at canopywell.com and check out our Live Well blog. We have lots of information. These are a few of my articles that I've written for Canopy, and you can access them on our blog and receive information if you'd like. I do want to leave some time for questions, so please feel free to drop your questions in the question box. I do see a couple of comments. I did want to let somebody know that somebody put in here that the Calm app is free for Kaiser members. Love it, and thank you for that tip. And someone put in here that most of their learning has come through seeing a therapist. And they could not have lived without music, and I could not agree more. Again, you're going to find what works best for you. Writing and talking about things that are happening in your life are good for you. So if you need to ask for help, reach out. There's so many people that are benefiting from that, and that looks different for different people, right? So it could be reaching out to your naturopath or GP to get some help with your physical health, or it could be reaching out to a therapist. Could be a way for you to talk things out and help you with your mental balance. So that's really important. So this webinar, again, was recorded. And so if you are here today, you will get a follow-up email, and that recording will be there, and along with a handout of the presentation. So you will be able to get a full program if you came in a little bit late. I don't have any recommendations for therapists. If you are a Canopy member, please call us today at that 800 number and we can get you connected with the therapist. If you are not a Canopy member, you can reach out to your employer and see if they have an employee assistance program that you can reach out to, and most employee assistance programs offer free sessions for therapy, so you can get started there. Or if you don't have an employee assistance program through your employer, you can reach out to your medical carrier and see what your mental health benefits are. Most medical carriers do have a mental health benefit, so you should be able to get therapy through them. And if you don't have either of those things, there are nonprofits out there that can help with therapy on a sliding scale. Some even do offer free therapy, depending on your situation. So definitely, again, part of the journey is continually looking for what you need specifically. Yeah. And yeah, thank you everyone. I do hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I also want to just mention, somebody gave a little shout out to NAMI. Thank you for that. NAMI.org has free resources there. Thank you for that. They are a wonderful organization. They helped me through my mother's death, and which is why I decided I wanted to volunteer and help other people too. So absolutely wonderful resource. So definitely reach out. Oh, NAMI is N-A-M-I. So that's National Alliance for Mental Illness. So N-A-M-I. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. I know everybody's busy, so if you've got to jump off, feel free to do so. I'll make sure I've answered everybody's questions here, but I definitely wanted to make sure to thank everyone and wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.